Hey guys, this is Purna. Today we are going to discuss about some important fundamental concept on ReactJS, and the table of content for the session today is React is not a framework, JSX, virtual DOM, component rendering, conditional based rendering, prop, state, hooks. So the aim of this session is to give you some high-level overview of these important topics, and as the sessions will progress, probably we will deep dive into these things. So React is not a framework. So React is a library. It's not a framework, and due to it is a library, it's very lightweight, and it gives you freedom to choose different tools. The React codes is basically very easier to maintain and flexible due to its modular structures. And as it is a library, it improves the performance of application as compared to the front end written using some frameworks. So we already discussed about JSX in our previous session. Still, I will cover a little bit about it. So JSX stands for JavaScript and XML, and it's allow you to write HTML code inside the React. And JSX convert the HTML tags into React elements. So with JSX, we can write JavaScript code under the curly braces, and we can say like we can write expression, and the expression can be React variable or properties or any other JavaScript expression. So let's talk about virtual DOM. So virtual DOM is a lightweight copy of actual DOM, and it's saved in the memory. So manipulating DOM is really a bit slow, and it's a tedious approach. But manipulating virtual DOM is fast, as nothing gets drawn on the screen. So when some part of the DOMs are changed, React compare the changed DOMs with the virtual DOM that is saved in the memory. And in simple term, if you will say like whenever any state whenever the state of any component is changed, React update the virtual DOM tree. And this process of comparing the current virtual DOM tree with the real DOM is known as diffing. And once React find out what exactly has changed, then it is update those objects only on React DOM. Component. So as we already discussed in our previous session, the components, React is all about components, guys. Anything we write under React are like reusable component, and that is the reason React is too much famous, right? So in React, we write code for UI component, for UI using components that are reusable, and it saves time for developer as they don't have write various code for same features. So the main advantage of using components are like it's reusable, and they serve the same purpose as JavaScript function, but it returns HTML. Components are two types in React: class component and function component. So let's have a look into the code snippet of different class component and function component. So currently I have created a JS file, welcome .com.js. So here I have two components. Welcome 1 is the class component, and welcome 2 is the function component. So function component is just a simple function kind of thing, but it have a return statement. and this return statement will return a HTML element basically. So here if you can see that app.js, right? So welcome to that I have imported, and I am passing name Ram, or and there is one more time, so I am calling that component welcome to name Steve. So when I will render this particular code, that I can see hello Ram function component, hello Steve function component. So I will make this change. So instead of okay, before that I just want to make this change here. It should be, let's rename it as welcome. Irrespective of any component we export there, it will just show the data. So now here I will export, instead of welcome to, as that is a functional component, we'll test the class component now. So if I save this, I can see the changes have already happened. Earlier it was showing function component within the bracket, now it is showing class component. So let's look into the class component, how it has written. So basically the way we can write the class component is class, the component name, extend react.component, and we must import this module React. So inside that class component there must be a render method, and render method will return a HTML element. So this is what the difference. Here you don't have render method, we can directly return from the function. See, here we have render method, and in function we don't need to extend assert the React component, but that is needed in class component. Also there are some differences, like the lifecycle functions are there in the class component, or the way we use states, that's also in a different way. So those things I'm not going to cover. So when we will learn that class component, function components in details, probably I'll be covering that things. Now let's come to the PPT. Now let's see rendering. So in order to render any element into the browser DOM, we need to have a container or root DOM element. So in index.html file under public folder, the root div can be seen. So if I'll go back to the code, I can show you. So under this public, there is a file called index.html, and here we can see the div id equal to root. So this is the point where our React elements are visible or registered basically. So whatever the DOMs that we will create, the virtual DOM, that will render here. So that is the code snippet here, right? Div id root id equal to root. And in index.js file under the src folder, rendering React element into DOM. So this is the code snippet that we can see. The const root equal to react DOM dot create root document dot get element by id. So to render the React element, first pass the DOM element into the react DOM dot create root. So basically it will create a root. Then pass the React element into root dot render. This is the element, that constant element equal to h1 hello world, and root dot render, that we are passing that element. So in that case, what we can see, the hello world in h1 tag. So just want to show you the code also. So under the src folder that you can see, right, index.js, here that root element basically we are creating by accessing that root div, and we are rendering that through this root, we are rendering the React element. So conditional based rendering, this is also very important thing in React. So we use this day-to-day basis. So conditional rendering in React works the same way conditions works in JavaScript, and so it uses JavaScript operator like if or the conditional operator to create element representing the current state and let React update the UI match them. So here is one code snippet of using the conditional rendering that you can see, right? The const greetings is a component basically here, and it has a prop that expecting is logged in. So if the is logged in prop is true, let's say it's a boolean must be true, then return the user greetings component. Otherwise, if this particular condition is false, then it will return a guest greetings, right? So how can we use this greeting component? Just simply the greetings is logged in equal to false because it's expect a props here. So let me show you the code. So here is one file called hello.js, and I have two components like user greetings. Basically it will say like welcome back, and guest greeting it will say like please sign off, right? So in my greetings component I have a props here is logged in. If is logged in is true, basically it will render this user greeting, so welcome back. And if this condition doesn't satisfy, then it will come to the default return statement and it will show the guest greetings. So I am using a hello component here. I have created a hello component also. So in hello component what I am doing, right? So there is a h1 tag saying hello, and it is calling the greetings, and greetings what I am passing like is logged in equal to false. So the expected is here it will show the guest greeting. So what is there in the guest greeting, like please sign off, right? So let me use that here, like basically hello, and at the same time let me comment out that welcome component. So you can see, right, hello please sign up. Because why it is asking for please sign up? So if you go inside this hello component, I am passing that greetings is logged in props as false. So what is this is logged in about? So if we have written the code inside the greetings in such a way that based on the conditional rendering, so if this is logged in is true, it is just returning the user greetings, and if it is false or it is not satisfying, the default return is the guest greeting. So what is the guest greeting here? Please sign up, right? That is what we can see in the browser. If I will pass here true, then I can expect it should say like welcome back instead of please sign up, right? So let me change that and we can see here, right, the welcome back. So this is how the conditional rendering of the component works, and this is very, very important when we are working on the real-time project. Okay. So props. So props, we already talked about props in my example, but still let's talk about its definitions and all what it says, right? So React allows us to pass information to a component using something called props, and props stands for properties, right? So basically we can pass the data to the component from parent to child using props, right? It's one directional basically. So props are basically kind of a global variable or object. So this will be like the component where we are passing to whom we are passing the props will be like a global variable for that component. And we can pass props to any component as we declare attributes for any HTML tags, right? So here is one example how we can use props, right? So props could be like either it is a values or variable, or we can also pass a function as well, right? So in this code snippet that we can see, so we are passing is logged in true false kind of things, and on click we are just showing the alert message hello if something clicked on, or the callback happened to this on click event in greetings. So state is something different than props. Basically, state is an object that holds some information that may change over the lifespan of the component. So it's just like a session variable, and that particular data in that variable available for the lifespan of the component. So this is what one example of using state. So this use state is a hook basically, and it's used in function component. So if you are going to use this state in class component, that approach is a little bit different, but we'll cover that when we will talk about class component in details. Okay, so let's see how this state is being used, right? So to use this state in function component, basically there is a hook available, use state, and here we are declaring that state or defining, you can say. So the state variable is count, and it comes with one more setter method, that set count, right? So this is the getter variable. We get the value from this, and this set count, it helps to set the value to this state variable. Okay, so if you see this code snippet written inside the div, that we have a paragraph, you clicked count times, right? So this count is a expression in the sense this is entire line is HTML, but inside the HTML we have some JavaScript code written under the expression, and this will denote this particular count variable. So it will show the real-time count wherever that count is increasing. And we have a button also here, button on click. So when we click on the button, so click me, that button will appear. So that will increase the count plus 1. So let's say the first time the initial default value, so this use state function that we are using here, right? So it's set the default value. So default value would be 0. So the first time when we render this component will be like you clicked 0 times. Then as long as we click multiple times this particular button, so it will increase plus count 1 respectively the number of times we clicked. So set count plus 1. So the first time if we click, it will be like 0 plus 1, and again if you click, it will be like 1 plus 1. So like that it will increase. So that's all about state. So let's talk about hook. So hook are the new addition in React 16.8. So earlier version of React, that hooks was not available, and so till that point, like the class component has dominated the market. So if you'll see that hardly people are using class components. So most of the people use in industry or functional component, because it's easy to use, as we have all that functions available through the hooks, which we can do in the class component. So they let you use state and other React feature without writing a class. So basically in class component, like it is a bit complex of using those things, but those features are given by as a hook in function component, so that we can use that easily. So some popular hooks are like use state, use effect, use context, and there are a few more hooks also there. So we are not going to talk about all these details, just for the high level idea, like what is hooks. And one important thing is like how we can identify hooks. Like all hooks functions begin with the word called use. So if you see all these three hooks, right, the use is common in all three. So this is all about the session today, guys. Thank you. Please subscribe my YouTube channel Techie Purna and follow me on Instagram Learn Full Stack. If you have any comments or suggestion, please give your feedback. Thank you.